I've answered what are sets and reps before, right here. So let's dig down a little bit more and get specific. So how many reps for muscle mass and how many sets also for mass, sets, reps? Okay, so I'm going to go do a deep dive into how many reps for muscle mass first and also how many sets for mass. And it's the sets question that is most open for debate. The quick answer is for how many reps for muscle mass. In order to make our muscles bigger, muscle mass, we need to use a weight that is not only heavy, but also one that we can lift for a higher number of reps. My rep recommendation is 67% to 87% of your 1 rep max for 6 to 12 reps. That's the starting guideline for muscle hypertrophy. Hypertrophy. Anyway, how many sets though do you do for mass? That depends on if you're taking your sets to muscular failure or not. And I'm going to say that you are, because that gives us something tangible to build off. Based on my training with the International Sports Science Association, ISSA, they use this information. Their research shows that for beginners, taking sets to muscular failure to achieve muscle hypertrophy isn't necessary. But if you've been training with weights for at least a year, the research shows the opposite effect. When it comes to trained individuals, you will see a greater increase in muscle mass, muscle strength and hypertrophy after high intensity resistance training workouts taken to muscular failure. The research can't tell us exactly how many sets are needed to get to muscle failure because again, everyone is different. So like 1 set you hit it, and then on the second, is there anything left over? I start with 1 to 2 sets per exercise for 2 to 3 exercises for muscle mass, and I'll do warm up sets as well for a little extra volume. When you don't train to failure is when you see 5x5 strength stuff from more popular bodybuilding programs with 3 exercises for 5 sets of like 10 repetitions and the like. And of course, there is everything in between, because everything works for a while if you are stressing your muscles and not overtraining. Let's go deeper. The science of sets and reps for muscle mass. The rep ranges are a funny thing. Lots of people talk about doing this many reps for this many sets, but really have no idea why they're doing like a particular number or the effect it will have on their bodies. So now remember this. The body does not have a goal of creating muscle size. The body has performance goals. It first wants to achieve an ability to perform an action in response to external demands. So we need to know which of those action abilities will give us the muscle mass we want. In other words, the body will try to get stronger, faster, or build endurance or gain endurance. But what we're looking for is the muscle mass that the body creates to get stronger, and which set and rep schemes we need to do to get that. So here's the short answer on what each rep range does performance-wise. 3 to 8 repetitions are most productive for creating absolute strength. 10 to 20 repetitions produce anaerobic strength endurance. 20 to 40 repetitions produce aerobic strength endurance. The reason for such varied ranges, even within a category of rep ranges, is because people will take varying amounts of time to complete a rep. Slow, fast. We know that it's not the actual number of reps, but the time that the muscle is under the tension that really causes the adaptive response. So if you do 4 reps that take 6 seconds each, and I do 6 reps that take 4 seconds each, we have both worked in the 3 to 8 rep range that cause the adaptation response that would be caused by putting a muscle under 24 seconds of tension. All right. Before we keep going, I want to make sure that this is making sense. So if you are understanding how many sets you should be doing per workout, then comment "makes sense" below. If not, then let me know your question below, and then I can do some more answers. All right, keep going. Is 5 reps enough to build muscle, and will 5x5 make me bigger? That's a common question. Yes, 5 reps is enough to build muscle, but it is not the most efficient rep range to do so quickly, in my opinion. You will be missing out on cell volumization as a means of muscle growth, or it appears like muscle growth, that in addition to other size increases that you get from longer times under tension. If you tweak it like I mentioned in the conclusion, at the end I'll show you more. So the best muscle fiber types for growth and what we want to target. Now on to fiber types. There are actually three major types of muscle fibers in the body that we are concerned with. Type 1, Type 2A, and Type 2B. Some people have natural tendencies to do well at certain activities, more so than others. And this is because the ratio of one muscle fiber type to another inside, amongst other things. Type 1 muscle fibers, or slow twitch muscle fibers, sometimes called RED, are your endurance muscle fibers because they are very resistant to fatigue and injuries, like the calves. The sad part is that their ability to produce power is very low also. The type 2A muscle fibers, fast twitch muscle fibers, intermediate, sometimes called white, are much larger and stronger than the type 1 muscle fibers. These fibers have a high capacity for glycolytic activity and can produce high force output for longer periods of time. The type 2B muscle fibers are the extreme end of the power scale. These are the survival fibers, flipping trucks and stuff. The whole purpose for type 2B fibers is to allow enough power and strength to survive emergency situations. 16% of an inactive person's body is 2B fibers. Now, even though these fibers are powerful, they have no resistance to fatigue or injury. Fact of the matter is that if and when you need to use these guys, most untrained people will damage that tissue beyond repair. So, is 3 sets enough to build muscle? Yes, 3 sets is enough to build muscle if you take those sets to failure in the 5 to 12 rep range with a heavy enough load. Also, you may increase sets volume in an attempt to create a new stimulus. This is where you must watch for overtraining though. Research has shown that it is the white muscle fibers, the type 2A and 2B, that give the greatest returns in size and strength when trained. But it's the white fibers are for high force output, and that means lots of calories burned along with a tissue that requires a lot of calories to stay alive. So what about the red muscle fibers, the type 1s? Well, your body becomes efficient at what it's needed for, what it trains for, what you demand of it. So if all you do is only cardio and other high rep activities, your body is going to favor the development of type 1 muscle fibers, and in the end, rob you of your ability to achieve muscle maximum strength, power, and size. These are the other fibers I was talking about previously. What if strength, size, and power are not your goals? Well, not having at least some of those attributes will result in a suppressed metabolic rate, and you'll not burn as many calories during the day. This means that if you're on a weight loss program, you'll need to work the type 2A fibers as well in the 10 to 12 rep range in order to boost your metabolism and stay strong and healthy. So everybody needs to train muscle fibers for growth. Now, the body can only handle increasing levels of stimulus in a particular area for a given amount of time. This is why in good programs, you'll find several totally different workouts, each stressing a different muscle fiber type for a given period of time, sometimes called periodization. An individualized program has the majority of the workout time spent in the phase that best affects the goal that the person is trying to achieve, size, power, and muscular endurance. In conclusion, though, what I do for how many sets and reps in a workout is this. It's not an exact science. Many set and rep schemes are pushed for gaining mass. They all work sometimes. This is because many work and they've all worked for somebody at some point in time, so they all get a testimonial, right? But there's definitely a sliding scale between what works best for strength versus size versus endurance. So you need to know that before you pick the scheme. Because of this, when chasing muscle mass, I cover all the bases though by doing the following for how many sets and reps. I do one exercise at 5x5 plus some more reps, 2 to 3 warm-ups in there as well at a static weight. The 5+ reps indicates that if I do more, that I actually need to increase weight on that exercise. Then I do one exercise at 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps. And these exercises are trained to failure, the 4x6 to 8, not the 5x5. The last set of 4 to 6 to 8, sometimes I'll do a triple drop set on. That means that I'll hit failure, strip some weight, hit failure, strip some weight. If a muscle requires 3 exercises, I'll make the third exercise 3 sets of 10 to 12. On a rest week, I'll reduce the volume and go to 3 full body workouts, doing only 1 exercise per body part at 3 sets of 10 repetitions. I usually do a rest week every 4 weeks when chasing the muscle mass dragon. So hopefully that answers the question of how many sets should I do per workout and per muscle for gaining size and strength, which is what everybody needs because that gives you the best bang for your buck. If you have any more questions, please ask below in the comments. If you like what you saw, hit the like button below, and if you didn't, then hit the dislike. Also, subscribe so you can see the next video, and hit the bell as well so that notifies you. And if you want, join me at raymondburton.com for my newsletter, and that way I can give you more of this stuff too. All right, see ya.